The Simplified Loader template includes multiple controls to ensure users enter only the necessary field data in the spreadsheet. It allows administrators to create rules based on transaction values and derive field values using an Excel formula. For example, an administrator can write a formula to populate the conversion rate type field as corporate if the invoice currency is not USD. The rules for deriving values based on a formula are defined in the admin panel. In the admin panel, select the control, Excel formula-based, derive value. This form allows administrators to set up multiple rules to derive field values for any field in the Simplified Loader template. The main input required in this form is the cell reference from the datasheet containing the formula used to derive values. I will return to this form later, but first, let's discuss how to write a formula to derive a field value. I will now close this form and the admin panel. The slide on my screen outlines the key steps for defining a rule to derive a field value. The first step is to write a formula. There are a few guidelines to follow when writing the formula. The first guideline is to write the formula in the same field where the derived value is needed. The second guideline states that when referencing fields in a child section, an Excel aggregate function like sum, min, max, etc. must be used. It is also important to understand that child sections refer to sections that are dependent on the section for which the value is being derived. Let me illustrate this with some examples on my screen. If the field being derived is at the invoice header level, the formula can reference fields in the line, distribution, or attachment sections. Any reference to a child section must include an aggregate function. If the field being derived is at the line level, the formula can reference a field at the distribution level, but it must use an aggregate function. Let me go back to the slide with the formula guidelines. Point C mentions that the formula can use relevant fields from the same section where the field is being derived. Point D states that fields from parent and child sections can also be referenced. To explain valid parent and child sections, I will bring up another slide. In the first example, if the field being derived is in the invoice header section, the formula can reference fields from child sections such as line, distribution, or attachments. In the second example, if the field being derived is in the line section, the formula can reference relevant fields from the invoice header and distribution sections, but it cannot reference the attachment section, because it is neither a parent nor a child of the line section. In the last example, if the field being derived is in the attachment section, the formula can only reference relevant fields from the invoice header section. It cannot reference the line or distribution sections since they are neither a parent nor a child of the attachment section. It is important to note that the derivation formula is only applied if the user has not entered data in the data sheet. If a user enters a field value in the data sheet, the formula will not override it. Once the formula is entered in the data sheet based on these guidelines, go to the Excel formula-based, derive field value screen, enter the formula's cell reference, and save the derivation rule. The derivation rules are stored locally in Excel and automatically execute when the user performs operations using the Simplified Loader Excel template. Now, let's write the first formula to derive a field value. In this demo, we will derive the value of header conversion rate type field if the invoice currency is not USD. To do this, I will first insert the conversion rate type field into the data sheet. I will now start writing the formula in this field. Let me begin with an if statement, setting the condition as invoice currency equals USD. If this condition is true, I don't want any value, so I will use the SL_null keyword. The SL_null keyword represents null in the simplified loader template. In the third parameter, I will set corporate as the formula output. This completes the formula. Note that I have entered the formula in cell H5. Now, let's save this formula as a field derivation rule in the simplified loader template. To do this, I will navigate to the admin panel and open the Excel formula-based Derive value form. In the formula cell reference field, I will enter H5 and click the Convert button. You can see that Simplified Loader reads the formula in H5 and populates 4 fields based on it. Let's complete the remaining fields in the Create or Edit Rules section. Enter the rule name as Derive rate type and set the sequence as 10. In the Simplified Loader template, an administrator can define multiple rules to derive field values for different fields. When multiple rules exist, they are executed based on the sequence number. When multiple rules are defined, after deriving a field value using one formula, the next formula can refer to values derived in the previous sequence. The next step is to assign the operation with which the field derivation formula should be associated. Finally, click Save to store the formula for populating the conversion rate type field. Now, let's test the formula. I will copy invoice data from the sample data sheet. In this example, I have 2 invoices, one in USD and another in AUD. Note that the data sheet does not have the conversion rate type field. I will now load the invoices into Oracle. You can see that both invoices loaded successfully. To confirm the rate type field values, let's download the invoice data from Oracle into the Simplified Loader template. I will copy the 2 invoice numbers into new rows. I will also insert a column for conversion rate type. Now, I will download the invoices. The conversion rate type value is blank for the USD invoice, and is populated for the AUD invoice. I hope you found this demo useful.